Because the mother stays. If the father was there, he'd be doing it too, but they regularly abandon their children. For context, she's referring to child abuse rates, and she's 100% wrong. Men are not leaving, women are leaving, and they're taking the kid. Women file for 70% of divorces in the United States and initiate 70% of breakups in non-married families. And in most states, if you were not a married father, you have zero rights to your kid. And we can see the same 70% ratio in the earnings gap in relationships because men are still expected to be providers. 70% of women will not date a guy who makes less than them. And if you don't believe me, keep scrolling through TikTok long enough. You'll find a few channels dedicated to women just spilling the beans on themselves. No, I wouldn't date a guy who makes less than $1,000 a week. No, I wouldn't date a guy who makes under 70 grand a year. Y'all can deny it all you want, but y'all are literally telling on yourselves and each other all over the internet. And by the way, this is also why the wage gap exists. Y'all don't want to make your own money, you want to spend our money. That's why y'all make 80% of financial decisions despite earning considerably less than your male counterparts. And all this financial talk is important because under Article 4D of the United States Social Security Act, which is the standard by which all the states have to manage their child support system, non-custodial, not deadbeat parents are forced to pay into the child support system. And for every dollar a non-custodial parent pays into the system, the states get about 60 cents back in the form of aid, which may not sound like much on the surface, but if you're paying thousands and thousands of dollars in child support a year, the state is making thousands and thousands of dollars from the federal government because you're paying into the system. And because men are still expected to be the primary earner in both relationships and families, this means that men are most likely to have their kids taken away for profit by the state. And of course, because y'all are a bunch of gold diggers who just care about yourself and your own financial situation. Oh, and would you look at that? We see the 70% statistic yet again. As in, mothers are 70% more likely to kill their children than men, 60% more likely if they are boys. So are you going to try to argue that the 70% divorce rate by women and the 70% child abuse rate by women are not correlated in any way, shape, or form? Here's yet another set of statistics. Women alone completely outpace men when it comes to child abuse, followed closely by a two-parent household. And only after the two-parent household do we see fathers who aren't even half the rate as single mothers. And even if we factor that in, look who's right underneath single fathers. Mothers and non-parents. Meaning you're perfectly okay with enabling and encouraging strangers or step-parents to abuse the kids. No matter how you look at it, women far outpace men when it comes to child abuse. It's not even close. And it's not because men are leaving, it's because y'all are leaving. And you're taking the kids with you because y'all are the only ones who are guaranteed custody of the children in all 50 states. Men still have to fight for custody in 2 out of 3 states. And even then, that only usually applies to married fathers. So if the conception happened out of wedlock and y'all never got married, you have no rights whatsoever in nearly all 50 states. Like all abusers, women target those that they can easily overpower, and it just so happens that is mostly children. On the other hand, men are taught a level of discipline from a young age to where picking on somebody significantly smaller than you is considered a bitch move. And don't just take my word for it. There are plenty of ex-cons all over TikTok you can follow that will tell you what happens to women beaters in prison. The only people underneath them on the hierarchy are pedos. Meanwhile, women rarely go to prison for abusing children because police often handle women with kids' gloves. Which is probably why y'all commit so much child abuse at such a disproportionately high rate. Y'all know y'all aren't going to be held accountable for it.